What are the two most common mistakes writers often make when it comes to their prose? The answer to this coming up. So today I want to talk about the two errors that I see most frequently when it comes to writing prose. So these are the same mistakes I see time and time again. And I think the reason I see these same mistakes over and over again is because these rules are a little bit counterintuitive. And let me get to the first one and you'll see what I mean. The first rule that I see people break is don't use emotion words to try and affect your reader emotionally. So that does not feel intuitive. Obviously, you want to affect your reader emotionally. So how do you do that? You talk about your emotions. Let me explain why this doesn't work. First of all, what is an emotion word? Well, when I use the term emotion word, I mean using adjectives that describe your emotional state, that describe the way you're feeling: happy, sad, elated, afraid, terrified, joyous. All of these things describe how you're feeling. So those are the emotion words that you might use in your prose. However, using these emotion words rarely elicits an emotion on behalf of your reader. What happens when you start using emotion words? Well, let me give you an example. My boyfriend comes home drunk and starts breaking things. I am terrified. Now, this is the kind of writing I often see in my students' assignments. They want to describe something that happened, and they think, well, my boyfriend came home, he started breaking things, and I felt terrified. So I have expressed to my reader what it was like living through the situation. And the truth is that you really haven't. And the problem is this emotion word. Emotion words are shortcut writing. They're sort of stand-ins for what you really need to say. When you use emotion words, what happens is your reader gets the sensation that you were terrified. You, in other words, the author, the narrator of this book, went through a moment of terror. That's not what you want to do. You want to make the reader feel terrified. You want to make the reader feel what you felt at that moment. And the way to do that is not using emotion words. It's actually to channel the thoughts that would have gone through your head at the time. So I talk a lot about this in all of my videos. I'm obsessed with putting us inside your head. But time and time again, if you do this, it will solve all of the problems you're having in your prose, or most of them. Any problem that I can think of, it will solve. So put us inside your head will actually have the effect of making your reader feel scared. Maybe not terrified. I don't know if you're going to terrify your reader with your writing, but you will cause them to feel something. Just saying I felt terrified makes them feel nothing. So how would I fix this? Well, I want to replace these three words. I was terrified. And in order to do that, I would think about what thoughts would have gone through my head in a moment of terror. So this is what I did for the sake of example. My boyfriend comes home drunk and starts breaking things. He's already proven that he's capable of anything. So I know I need to hide, and quickly. If he spots me, I don't think I will have the physical strength to fight back. So what I want you to notice is I'm not just telling a story there. I'm not describing all of the things he's breaking. I'm not describing in detail where I run and hide. These really are my thoughts. This is the first thing that would occur to me when I find myself in this situation. So look at the difference between this. This is not external writing. This is internal writing. External writing would be something like, I climb under the mattress, I hide. But that's just describing what happened. And I don't want you to do that. You can do that, but that's not going to solve the problem that you're trying to fix by replacing these three words, I was terrified. So take this emotion word and replace it with the thoughts that would have gone through your head at the time, these thoughts of you being terrified. Let me give you one more example just so you get what I'm going for, and then I will talk about the second trap that lots of writers fall into. But first of all, I really just want to make sure you grasp this concept. Stay away from emotion words. So I've written one more example for you. I hear my name called out through the speakers. I have just won first place in the state spelling bee. I am so happy. So, okay, that's the kind of writing I often get from my students, and I'm always trying to get them to make their writing better, to transport their reader, to make us live through these events with you. So here, I understand what's happening, and I understand that the narrator's happy, but does that make me feel this moment of joy along with this narrator? No. So what does this writer need to do? Well, this writer doesn't exist because I just made this up, but what this writer would need to do, or what you need to do when it comes to writing your prose, is think about words that would have gone through your head in this circumstance. these happy thoughts that you would be having. So this is how I wrote this. I hear my name called out through the speakers, but this isn't when it hits me. The moment I truly realize what I have just accomplished is when I see the look on my mother's face. Whatever else might later happen between us, she will remember this moment. This is the day that her son has done right by her. So what I want you to notice is that I am not just adding more details. Yes, I bring up my mother's face, for instance. However, that's not the point. The point is that these are thoughts I'm having. So this moment of joy, what is it that's bringing me this moment of joy? What am I thinking? And if you write like this, you will actually affect your reader emotionally, which is exactly what you want to do. Using emotion words is not going to achieve that for you. Putting us inside your head in that joyous moment and that terrifying moment really will. So let me talk about the second mistake. The second mistake is using a description of bodily functions in an attempt to describe your internal state. So trying to help us know what you were feeling by describing what your body is doing. So some examples would be: my heart beats rapidly, my palms start to sweat, my breathing grows more shallow, I feel my face turn red, sweat rolls down my face. So I see this a lot. I see this attempt to describe what you're feeling by describing what is happening with your body. And the problem with that is that it's generic writing. When you write like that, it really is pretty much the same thing as saying, I was scared. My heart started beating rapidly. So there's not much of a difference. It's generic. It's not your book, and you're not going to affect me emotionally. What you want to do is, again, channel your internal monologue. Don't use these bodily functions to describe your emotional state. It actually sounds very generic. This is how cheap romance novel writers write their books. They fill their books with "my heart was pounding." So when I'm talking about cheap romance novels, I'm talking about these novels with the man on the cover and his long flowing mane of hair, and his shirt is being flung open and you can see his six-pack abs, and he's embracing a woman. You know what I'm going for, right? So that's what I'm talking about. And that's not what you want your memoir writing to sound like. So let me give you an example of something I often read, the kind of example I often get from my students. So I'm just going to keep writing the first scene that I initially started writing, and I'm writing it badly. This is the before version. My boyfriend kicks an end table. My heart pounds furiously. He yells out my name, adding that I'm a bitch. My palms begin to sweat. So how will I replace "my heart pounds furiously"? I wrote this. I know I need a plan. My cell phone is in the bedroom. If I make it there before him, I might have a chance. So there's nothing emotional there. I am just writing down the thoughts that I would have had at the time. These are not complex thoughts. This is what I would think if I were in this dangerous situation. So let me rewrite the second sample I gave you, the one about the spelling bee, a lot cheerier example here. So I kept writing. This is the before version. This is the kind of writing that you don't want to do. I walk over to where my mother is sitting. I am jumping up and down inside. So you could argue that this is internal, that it's not an actual bodily function because you're not literally jumping up and down. But I would argue that it is. In any case, it's generic writing. So I'm jumping up and down inside is how anyone might describe being excited or happy. Let me show you how I rewrote this, giving us the thoughts that this narrator might have had at the time. I walk over to where my mom is sitting. My mother's never been one for displays of physical affection, and I've always respected her preference, but I can't help myself. I put my arms around her thick waist and squeeze her, in the hopes that this new sense I have, that anything is possible, will pass miraculously through my hands and into her. So there are all different ways to describe being happy. You have to figure out which is your way. What are the thoughts that you would have? You could have funny thoughts. You could have these insightful thoughts. That's a question of style. What's important is that you give your reader the sense that they are reading your thoughts on paper, and that is how you affect them emotionally. So don't fall into these two traps. Don't use emotion words, and don't use description of bodily function to try and describe your internal state, to try and describe what you were feeling at the time. The only way to do that effectively is to put us inside your head, to channel that internal monologue. That's how you'll affect your reader emotionally. If you want to know lots more about memoir writing, I have a free class. Click on the link in the description right below this video. Take care, guys.